Wow.
And we're live.
Welcome back, Duckies and Dice Fiends. It has been an adventure, but we are here, and we are here with a very special guest whom I am so excited to talk to. We're going to talk about some very fun things today. But first and foremost, David, who the heck is you and what the heck is we doing here?
I am Brandon Urie because I panicked at the disco. But no, hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome Presents. We don't have to do presents anymore. Congratulations to us for getting our name. Hi.
I mean, we still don't have the website.
We still don't have the website, but look, we're making progress, okay? Hi, this is the Chaotic Wholesome Tuesday Table Talk Show, where every week we talk about TTRPG stuff. How to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to be a better person, how to avoid the Daystar, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity so that everybody can have a good time.
I'm Kay. I'm your other host. You can find David and I right here Thursday and Friday, unless something comes up, where we're going to be doing our first playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3. We are deep into Act 3, and it's only been a little bit of chaos. I think we're up to 6 TPKs, 5 TPKs, something like that. It's been a good time. And then we're just coming right back around here on Tuesday because y'all, my schedule is ridiculous, but I can't talk about any of the stuff that I'm doing right now. But I am planning on being at PAX Unplugged. We are working on trying to maybe get David there. And let me just very, very, very quickly, because this has been chaos. Thank you for hanging out and welcome on in. Matt, Mimics and Misfits, Ilaria Stormforge, Candace the Magnificent, DC Lacer, Mimics and Misfits. Again, who else am I missing? Ribbonanza, the Lurking Writer. Thank you all so much for hanging out and joining us. But you are not here. There's a maybe. It's a maybe for a David IRL at PAX. We are trying. But you are not here for us. You are here for our incredible guests. So tell us, Rowan, welcome. Who the heck is you and what the heck is you doing here?
Hello. Really good to meet y'all. Really good to be here. My name is Rowan McStay. I am a producer and cast member on Mage Hand High Five, which is an actual play TTRPG podcast where we explore a lot of different genres and stories in both short form and long form ways. We currently have a long form gritty fantasy Western campaign called The Badlands going. And yeah, we do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, I'm a actor and producer and asexual.
And award-nominated podcast.
Thank you. Yes, that is true.
Congratulations.
As of very recently, that is true. Thank you so much. Hey, back at you.
And David, do double check on the if the overlay is behaving when you get the moment.
Yeah, we're gonna make sure everything is working.
Yeah, there's just a few things going on today, y'all. It's fine. We're all fine. But yes, we are so excited to have you. And one of the things, so number one, y'all, we spent a lot of time in the green room talking about Southern characters, the Southern accents, and I may have attacked Rowan. If y'all have not seen the tiki-taki of Link with a Southern accent,
it's real fun.
It is my favorite thing right now. I've probably watched it 30 times over the last day. It speaks to my soul. So we're going to have to talk about that, but we've got a couple topics to cover, and we're going to see how many of them all we get to. Have we kicked the thing that makes the beepy noise? Look, percussive maintenance is David's favorite thing. Or as my old man would always say, my favorite tool is a hammer. But, so we want to talk because now poor David is the odd person out here. We got a couple aces. We got a couple aces up in here.
We do have a couple aces here.
And when Rowan mentioned, like, I would love to talk about asexuality and ace representation in TTRPGs because there's not a lot there. And it's like, that is very true. I remember, spoilers for Critical Role Campaign 2, y'all. I remember the moment when it was revealed that Caduceus was ace. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's not, and they're just perfect. I love them. This is great. And then I was like, oh yes, Rowan, I would love to talk about this because I weaponize my aceness in TTRPGs.
You mentioned that, and I'm curious because I feel like I always end up like falling on mine a lot,
Mhm.
where I'm the one that makes the inadvertent sex joke a lot.
Oh,
And everyone else starts laughing first, and I'm like, wait, what did I say?
Yeah, mine are not inadvertent. For those of you who are maybe new to the channel and don't know this about me, I was the lead moderator for DeviantArt for 15 years. So, yeah. Yeah, I've seen things no one should see. And that
Well,
means my humor is about at the level of a 12 or 13-year-old.
I feel like that's kind of the way with a lot of ace people, though, is that a lot of the ace people are the ones making the biggest sex jokes.
Mhm.
I think because we all learn to adapt
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah, it's really a shield, right? It's like I remember a lot of times when I was younger just being like, stand, but it's making everyone laugh.
Yeah,
So I'll just say the joke.
I can't say I get it, but it seems to be working.
So yeah, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about like your experiences, like playing ace characters in TTRPG, stumbling into relationships and being like, oh, maybe I don't, maybe I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am relatively I think in the grand scheme of things, compared to a lot of people, I'm relatively new to even RPGs and that world. I got into it during the pandemic. Because
I only started shortly before the pandemic.
Yeah, and I've been an actor for a long time, but then RPGs were kind of the only way to explore that kind of collaborative storytelling during COVID. So I hadn't seen any of I haven't seen any of the actual play. I hadn't seen any of the actual plays or gotten super into the community of it or anything like that, or encountered really a lot of characters. And at that point, I had also not had access to a word for what I thought was wrong with me, the asexuality.
Oh.
And yeah, thanks. And so I think about simultaneously those things arose where a partner of mine at the time, actually, who's now a very dear friend, was like, "Hey, I think you might be ace." And at the same time, I was getting into, via another friend who's also on Mage Hand with me, getting into D&D, and by D&D, all the other RPG rabbit holes. And I think my first encounter with an ace character that I was like, oh, this makes sense, was Riz from not Critical Role, from Dimension 20, Riz Gutgak from Fantasy High.
Him.
I love Riz, and I love Brian
so
Murphy
good.
as a GM and as a performer. But it was Riz, it was in Crown of Candy, it was Allie Beardsley's character, and
I'm a seed guy.
Marriage of convenience to a milk bottle. And I think those characters really did help me kind of understand myself a little bit better. And as I started playing and as we started doing an actual play, I joke that all my characters are ace, not because I mean for them to be, but because that's the only way I really know how to be. And I think in media, not just in RPGs, but in media across the board, if we see an ace person at all, they're often very aloof, very detached, very lonely, like not really within the world and with a community. And
or
so
they're damaged.
Like something's wrong with them, right? To make them that way. And so and more often than not, they're always like completely sex repulsed. And so for me, as like a relatively sex positive ace person who runs the spectrum of that a little bit and is like biromantic and very romantically invested, I kind of set out to play characters who ran a little bit more of that spectrum. And so right now I'm playing an ace spectrum lesbian who was married to a man and is no longer, and there's a whole story there, but most of my characters tend to be hopefully a little bit more of a complex representation of an ace person than someone who's just out of the world.
Yeah, like Rex said, TTRPGs let you see aspects of yourself in a hopefully safe way.
Yeah, it's like you can experiment with stuff. I think gender's like that too.
Absolutely. Like Dave and I was talking to David, and it's like, you know, the trans non-binary gateways are like TTRPGs and Stardew Valley.
Yeah. I hear
like
great things
TTRPG,
about Stardew.
it's like, ooh, do I want to try out this name? Do I want to try out these pronouns? How does this feel? Okay, now that I'm gonna go make a Stardew Valley character with that. How does that feel? Okay, yeah, I think that's
There's two of us. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Stardew Valley. I in the green room we were talking, and like people who've been on the stream know that Kay and I have different approaches to video games. We want different things. Kay wants to have a good time. I want to suffer.
No, I am of the Hurt Me Daddy school of TTRPGs. Thank you very much.
No. Video game.
Oh, video game. I'm sorry. Yes. Kay is not here to suffer. Video games.
Kay wants to have a good time, and I either want to like break a controller with my hands or shatter the pride of a teenage boy on Xbox Live. Like that's so Kay's like Stardew Valley. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm really into but they're
like $10,
where's the
David.
gun?
It's $10.
But and this is advice I will give to everyone. If Kay makes a suggestion, go follow it because Kay is right. When I tell you that Stardew Valley has, it's been years now, has me by the goddamn throat. Between multiple platforms, I own more copies of this game than any other single game I have ever bought, and I have over 1,000 hours of playtime across multiple systems.
Dang! What is it that does it for you?
Some people play farming games to relax. Some people play farming games to like meet all the cool characters. Some people play farming games to
decorate and make pretty things.
Right. Or to like, you know, explore like an alternative world. Some people play to live the fantasy of having a job that pays well. Some sort of financial stability or the fantasy of owning prop. I play to win. I play to win and I play to ruin lives because Pierre knows what he did. And it is an exercise in mental plate spinning. It's an exercise in keeping an Excel sheet in your head. I mean, you could make an actual Excel sheet, except I don't know Excel, so I got to keep all of it in my head. Yeah,
I need to just give you my sheets. I just need to give you my. I play Stardew Valley and Pokemon with multiple spreadsheets.
Really?
I have an almost complete living shiny Pokedex.
That's very exciting. Okay.
This new generation is killing me. I hate shiny hunting in this new one. But David, what was your point about Stardew? I'm sure it had to do with pronouns. You never had to do that. That's your usual.
Yeah, I'm, and it's important to bring up this aspect of privilege because I've had white people talk to me about white privilege, and they're like, "What do you mean? I had to work for everybody?" And it's like, privilege is about not having an obstacle to overcome. Like, I have 2 functional legs, and if both of my legs were broken, or, you know, my spine, something happened and I couldn't walk for whatever reason, then a flight of stairs is going to be an obstacle that other people don't have to deal with. And so, like, you know, when it comes to like white privilege, it's like you could go into a sundown town after dark and not have to worry. Whereas I have to think about that and think about like planning my whole day around like if I'm driving cross country or if I'm going to see a friend of I can't be in certain places, or rather I shouldn't be in certain places to decrease the likelihood that I will get in trouble in some way. But when it comes to like gender identity, or when it comes to just anywhere on the LGBTQI spectrum, I've never had to go, I wonder if, like, you know, women or men or non-binary, it's something I've never had to question. And the same thing with like my gender identity. I never got out of bed and went, oh man, like maybe he, him isn't working for me. And it also circles back to the age-old question of like, well, why do so many guys play girls in video games? And for people who are in my guild in World of Warcraft, people I know who play Final Fantasy 14, it was a way to and same with Stardew Valley, it was a way to experiment and then lean into gender expression. But like for me, it's like if I'm going to spend 500, 1,000 hours staring at ass, then I want it to be a woman's ass and not like a dude's ass. And also they usually have cuter outfits and better hairdos. So it's like, well, I'm gonna make her hot so I can stare at her all day. And it's just completely different things. But yeah, the Stardew is the slippery slope to discovering your gender identity, and not all of us necessarily need to do that.
I mean, that sounds fun. I have not played Stardew, and so now I need to. I've been told I need to, so I'm just getting into video games.
It is a little bit of a rough learning curve, especially if you've never played a farming game, because was built off the backs of Harvest Moon, which was an excellent series that a company ruined.
Gotcha.
But it has tutorials. It doesn't have the best tutorial if you are not familiar with those kinds of mechanics. But once you get over that, it's a problem. I just started a new farm, just the other day, because I'm like, brain chemistry isn't happy. I can't do anything. I'm gonna go play Stardew. And I play it with my TTRPG characters. So I have different, like my mercenary Starfinder character did the evil Jojo Mart run where you work for like the evil corporation. Whereas Burton does the actual good community center farm. Like, yeah, you can, there's marriage, there's romance in it. You can have a roommate that you don't marry. There's one character that's like, is just your roommate. And in fact, if you were married before and you have kids and you divorce, this character, and then you have this character move in, this character will help you raise your kids.
Oh, that's the dream
really
right there.
Cute.
That's
really
great.
Cute. Brandon would be a great farmer, but they don't have weed in Stardew. So Brandon has no interest in farming in that. Brandon's one of my characters.
Seaweed.
They don't say they have weed in Stardew. I imagine maybe there's some like back alley weed dealings.
I could make a whole lot of wine,
simulator.
Right? I could make a whole lot of wine, but I guess we could call it wheat. I guess wheat could be. We grind it and we
like it's wheat.
One of the first things you do in the game is you go visit an old wizard and you get just hopped up on zoop balls. He pours you a glass of something and then you trip balls and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's so good.
But somewhat back on topic. So I wanted to, like, my experience coming out as Ace took me a very long time to figure out, especially I grew up in Bible Belt, small town Texas, in Christian schools. Like, none of this was anywhere near my vocabulary. And I moved to Hollywood for work and was hanging out with a friend on his birthday. And he had, like, the one straight guy at the party was like, hi. And I'm like, Midwest Hollywood, the one straight guy finds me. And it was great. He was actually really awesome and really respectful. And again, I didn't have words for any of this, right? So, and I knew at this point, I knew I didn't want kids. I was pretty sure I didn't want to get married, but that was also weird culturally. Especially, I'm old, y'all. I'm real old. And so I had just kind of resorted to saying, like, Brandon Wood played Graveyard Keeper. Yeah. Graveyard Keeper's great. I would just say, like, I don't date. I don't date. I don't want to get married, right? Like, dating feels like an interview for a job I don't want, so why would I do it? Right? And I always kind of had in my head that, like, sooner or later I'll meet the right person, and that'll, right?
Because that's what you're told, right?
Right?
Having had a religious upbringing myself, it is kind of like you feel that way now, but later you're gonna really someone's gonna change it for you.
Hey, Bergesdorf. Yeah, we're being careful with spoilers, but Krobus is my favorite. All of my favorite. So I was at this party and I'm like explaining to this guy, like, hey, look, you're really cool. I'm happy to hang out, right? But I don't date. I'm not into that. And he's like, oh, are you asexual? And I remember just panic running through my body because I'm like, no, I'm not like that. I'm normal. No.
I'm not weird.
Yeah, like it was panic. And I went years after that with that like in the back of my head, being like, eh. And then finally, I know what it was. There was a guy at work that was just awesome. I had like this joking list of like, this is what I need to consider dating a guy, right? Like it's all of these ridiculous things. He ticked every single box, right? And I was telling a friend, like, we went to this thing and and he's like, so why haven't you fucked him? And I'm like, oh no, he ticks every single box on my imaginary list and it never occurred to me. I'm like, oh no, I think I might be ace. So then I'm kind of like, okay, I'm in West Hollywood. This is cool. So I kind of like, hey, you know, I'm part of the community too, right? And immediately it was, no, you're not. Ace people aren't.
Ace people aren't.
Ace people don't, you know, no, it's different. And I was like, cool. I have been culturally raised as a straight white woman. I know how to be a good ally. I believe you. And I went probably another almost a decade just being like closeted because
it's one of those things that I think there is a lot of backlash to ace folks and I think I came out as ace before coming out as bi or non-binary and like bi-romantic or non-binary because I think I had to fundamentally understand my sexuality, I think, before I could even look into any of those other things.
Yeah.
But before those other things came up, it was like, oh, I don't belong in this community, you know, which is not true, but
it's not true.
Yeah.
But and it's also a weird thing because you can't like celebrate being ace, right?
No.
I mean, you can, but it's not like
I was about to say, I was like, not with that attitude.
I'm gay, right? Like it's like I am not this thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's in opposition to something else.
Yeah, it feels weird. But you know, I eventually ended up at an after E3 party with another person who told me they were ace, and we started talking, and they were like, "No, I say I'm ace," and people start asking me, you know, all of these personal invasive questions because y'all, the first thing that happens is, oh, well, how many people have you slept with? Well, how many times have you gone down on someone? Well, how many of you, like, how do you know, right?
How do you know if you haven't tried it yet?
Right.
Yeah.
To which my answer is I just look at...
if you don't like kids, if you haven't been pregnant 9 times. Like, what?
No.
Listen, I love kids. I don't want them. I love them. They're great. I want to hang out with other people's kids.
Do you know the answer? The answer to that, and this is how you get rid of them, folks. This is how you get... It's like, oh, have you ever done the dirty with a dog? How do you know? Because that is the same level of attraction to me as getting with a person.
God, yeah, that's fair.
How do you know?
Yeah.
Don't abuse animals, y'all. Don't do it. But it is an excellent way to get the point across.
Yeah, I think the confusion on my end was like people are like, "Oh, but you're in a relationship," or "Oh, but you have sex," and I'm just like, "Well, yes, but." It's specific, like it's, you know, and there's variations. There's variations on what an ace person can be and what that can look like and how that can manifest for people and what their relationships with sex are. So yeah, I don't know. But it's nice to see that more ace characters pop. Like I see more ace characters pop up in actual plays than I do in any other type of media.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting.
When first learning about Kay's exalted status as ace, in my initial discussions with them, I immediately stereotyped all of them out as what I later would learn is arrow ace. I was just like, dope. You know what? You're making the right choice because people are messy. And it doesn't matter what flavor of person you are. Because I have seen gay relationships, lesbian relationships, straight relationships, just men. Just throw the whole man away. Like non-binary polycules, and I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm not saying that all non-binaries are in polycules. I'm just saying that like half of the polycules I've met, there's at least one NB. There's at least one button-up short sleeve shirt. But yeah,
that just got clipped, David.
Yikes! That's
just throw the whole man away. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Thank you, Matt.
I will stand 10 toes down, any day of the week. You wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and be like, David, men, throw them away.
No, get rid of
Immediately.
The fact that anyone is attracted to men is proof that sexuality is not a choice. I say this as someone who's dating a man.
David's like, I've got proof that sexuality is not a choice because there's straight women.
There's straight women.
If it was a choice, there would be 2 straight women on the entire planet. That'd be it.
That's it. I'm sorry. And listen,
I'm so pleased.
You just made his life. You didn't make his day. You made his life. You made his life, Rowan.
I mean, it's true. Can't choose this. I'm bi. I'm pissed.
What was Holly Conrad had a tweet? Holly Conrad had a tweet about like, it sucks being gray ace because I want to like more butts than I do. Why can't all butts just be attractive?
That's so true. Because sometimes it's like, and then most of the time it's like,
There's a lot of, you're bi? How's your golden retriever boyfriend? And it's just like, zoinks.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it right now.
Right.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about how he's doing right now. Doing great, actually.
Did not consent to be perceived.
Candace says, please quiet down. You are being so loud. And yes, we are apparently molecules, not non-binaries.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
Captions.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, is that a new slur? Am I gonna have to like choke somebody? Like, what's happening here?
So, I stumbled into this. Was not a conscious choice. Let me be very clear. Like, I started playing one of my patented disaster queers and went, oh no, this is what they are. And then I got to play in a new campaign with them and went, well, now that I know what they are, I'm going to turn it up to 11. I'm going to make this everyone's problem.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, tell me about is this about your weaponizing?
Yes, I'm going to tell you.
I need to know. Teach me.
I have 2 examples. So allegedly the home game is coming back at some point. So if you are in the post-nights home game, please stop watching. This is spoiler territory. You don't know this yet, party. So, I love you. So, I play a himbo bard, a thembo bard.
Great.
Definitely thembo because they're like this big around, right? We follow the 3 rules of himbo: broad of chest, peer of heart, dumb of ass. I'm sorry,
great.
Nicole. You are wonderful, and I love you.
That's great.
So I play in that game what would be considered your typical horny bard.
Okay.
Absolutely happy, loves everything, loves everyone, has big curly hair and little tiny horns. This is important because they are the horny bard.
Yes.
They are a half elf, a mixed elf. We don't know what the other half is, but they have little tiny horns.
Cool.
And when they enter the Feywild, when they enter the Feywild, they get hooves and a tail.
Oh, rad! That's really fun.
Very fun.
And
oh, and little fangies, which David's character is obsessed with teeth and is like, I want it.
Are they the up fangs or the down fangs?
The down fangs.
Okay, so they're this way. I like little tusks too.
I like
the
those
tusks
too.
are fun.
Wait until you hear about Roxy. Anyway, continue. Brandon
is my chief orc, half tiefling, half orc, and he has horns and tusks and fangs.
Sick.
So your typical horny bard.
Yeah.
Kenley flirts with everyone and everything, and has no idea he's doing it. And so we were post nights. We're going from like town to town to town, going along. And Kenley would every town would end up romancing someone. Some NPC would be all over him. And everyone would go. Kenley would be hanging out, romancing often more than one person, or, hanging around because the charismatic, very pretty little bard. And every time they would wake up with Kenley back in the room the next morning.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we've been playing this game for years, and no one has yet figured this out. That the reason Kenley, and like we leave the town and everyone's less happy with us than when we came in. Because Kinley is ace. And Kinley has no idea they're romancing people and then leaving them high and dry.
So they're leading people on by accident.
By accident, has no clue.
Been there.
Yeah. David has seen it in action and been like, okay.
Yeah, they were flirting with you. You realize that, right? No, they weren't.
No, we were just talking.
By accident.
By accident, yes.
Yeah.
Seeing it in real life, delightful. Some of the most fun I've ever had in a bar.
Is it, David? Is it delightful? I don't know. It doesn't always feel delightful.
Oh, it's so good.
Sometimes it's
so
scary.
Good.
Yes, Kinley literally has left shattered hearts in his wake, completely unaware. We'll write songs, terrible songs for people. Oh, yes, we can. Oh, yes, I'd love to sit with you. Oh, yes, we could make out. Kissing is wonderful. All right, time for bed. Goodbye.
God, that's so good.
And again, makes all of the sexual innuendos, has no idea. Will just randomly be like, I would love to know why I'm so horny. Because it has little horns.
Right.
It doesn't know what the other half is.
That's really fun. I like that a lot. It's fun that I don't know that I would ever be self-aware enough to play that. Because I think I don't know that I'm actually that guy is the problem. I don't have it in me to pretend to be that guy. I don't have the meta awareness that I think you've reached God tier asexual, where you can look down on yourself and understand what you see.
It has definitely been moments where I'm like, it took a while to get there with this character. Because part of the problem is I'm like, this character is chaotic good in the Fae sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where there's no consequences beyond what I can see immediately. So anything that I do to help someone that I care about is good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it might have a horrible consequence. Can't. So it took me a while to figure out. I'm like, oh, this is just my manic asexuality turned up to 11.
Yeah. It's kind of like that though. I don't know. Sometimes, David, are there any characters that you've played that are this is an aspect of myself, just cranked up?
So it's really funny because both playing MMOs and other games where you have to build a character, and also having done home games and offline TTRPGs before I started doing this with Kay, there was always big elements of myself in them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started streaming a couple of games, and I've had to tell every single, in every green room, I'm like, listen, a lot of people put a lot of themselves in there. This character is the opposite of me, is far away from me, because this guy is a dick. I play in the home game with Kinley, and I play Kessla, and Apothecary Rogue, who is tooth obsessed. And fun fact, we did a one-shot with Wild Beyond the Witchlight, and I'm putting together my character, and I'm like, you know what? He's into teeth. He's got a bag of teeth. He's collecting them. And then the book comes out, crack it open, and one of the starting items is bag full of teeth. And I was just like, wow, this saw me coming.
Oh, that's great. It was destiny.
And an aspect of the total oppositeness of my characters is that whenever I end up in a game with Kay, no matter what character Kay is playing, and no matter what character I am playing, Kay's character is a menace to everyone else, and my character is a menace to Kay's character.
Yeah, that's good. That's good balance, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it keeps happening, because I'm not a menace to Kay in real life.
How many bad things do you accuse me of every time we are on this show?
It is sarcasm. It is sarcasm. It is the deepest sarcasm. Yes, 110%. As I said, as I have said both on and off stream, Kay is the nicest person on earth, which is why I can be like, oh man, Kay chases me around with a scourge, like I'm Jim Caviezel in that one Mel Gibson film.
David, here's the problem. I'm white. That's the problem with stuff like that. I am white and Southern.
Yes.
But you gotta have fun calling them out in public. I don't know. That's fun.
Yeah.
I got folks who do that to me, and it is. I will say it's fun to be at the butt of those jokes. I really do like it.
One of my favorite things. And being a little bit too loud in public, and Kay is like, I really went outside with you. This is a mistake.
If these are this, I accept it with a smile, because that might be the only reparations David ever gets.
Right? Right.
We have go ahead.
I was just gonna say he will take his revenge one way or another.
We have a couple of two of us on our podcast are non-binary, 3 of us are queer generally, and then there's one person who's cis straight man, and the GM who is a cis man, we are like always talking about him being a misogynist. He's not. He's lovely.
but he's a man, so he got to take his lumps.
There you go with your misogyny again.
That was something happened on, like, a thing happened where something bad happened to me through corporate decisions, but like it happened on like the first day of Pride. And I'm like, this is homophobic. This is homophobic.
Deeply homophobic.
Yeah.
So the other way I weaponize my aceness.
Yes, please teach me.
Okay, so again, we've been talking about Burton. Burton is my sweet little cinnamon bun in a horrible horror game.
Mm-hmm.
Just the sweetest, bestest little guy. And Burton, high charisma, is the talker of the group, and just very, very curious. And especially, like, this is a world where magic is very rare, so we meet this character, another player character, who is like an 8-foot rock man with plants growing out of him. And that's not how magic normally works in this world either. And my character is one of the few magic users and is just like up in his business, right? He's like looking at just like fascinated, right? Just like, ooh. And so after a couple times of something new happening and Burton just being like, ooh, he's like, are you flirting with me? Burton's like, do you want me to be? Right. Just didn't even didn't even occur to them. And Burton also, like, Burton is like a warden and has a partner, and just always talks about her. It's like, that's my partner, this best woman I've ever known, just always talks her up.
Yeah.
And so finally this will happen. I know it will. It hasn't happened in over a year, but sooner or later, someone's going to be like, are you in Florence? Or like the more direct, like, no, really, are you flirting with me? Like, are you trying to, do you want to, is this what's happening? Because it hasn't happened yet. No one's asked it yet. Everyone's just kind of rolled with it. And Burton's gonna be like, no, I'm married. I don't know if you noticed, I'm kind of married to my job. Oh no, Florence kind of is my job. Oh no, do you think she wants that? Oh no, do you think, and it's just gonna have
Am I kind of married to Florence? Yeah.
Full panic. Should I ask her? Should I not? What do I do? Has she been dropped? Do you know? Did you ask her? Just have the full middle school meltdown because it has never occurred to them to date someone.
That's great. That's so good.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
When you can have those moments of like this, and then of course everyone else is just like, wait, what? Wait, this didn't occur to you? Because the whole time everyone's like, no, they're playing the charismatic character. They're charming everyone. Of course they know what they're doing. It's wonderful to pull that rug out.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay, I like that. The character I play in Badlands, the other part of her that I kind of wanted to explore in making her was that she is because I think in Westerns historically, there's a lot wrong with that genre. And so in this fantasy Western, we're like, okay, what of that do we want to unpack? What of that do we want to explore? What do we want to look at? What do we want to critique? And I wanted to create a character who on paper fits really well into that old world Western, who's like a, blonde, like beautiful femme fatale trophy wife, right? And explore like the toll that being that person would take on a real person. And so there's a little bit of like light misogyny in our game that's like is very intentionally handled. But with that, I think my character is also, just by nature of who she is for the plot, walking around just being really hot. And a lot of the time it's like, oh yeah, no, we're not. And I think she's got, I mean, I have a weakness for a powerful, strong female NPCs.
Them NPCs are just,
you gotta
Roxy has just been destroyed by so many,
and
then ran from the one.
Yeah, you gotta flirt with the female NPCs.
I'm very sad that the horror game is no longer streamed, because one of the NB characters meets this badass Inquisitor woman who looks like, a 1940s red lipstick, the short hair, but also like does inquisitions, right? And it's just, and she's like, oh no, she's my type. Like, it's just full panic.
It just hits you like a ton of bricks sometimes, man. Sometimes there's a scary lady and you're like, I don't know, what if she's it? But for the most part, I think Salome is similarly like walking around really completely oblivious to being a good-looking person in the world.
The long trail of broken hearts.
I hopefully not, but maybe. I don't know. She doesn't know, therefore it's not my business.
Right. It's like, just because you fell in love at first sight doesn't mean that it's my problem.
Yeah, it's not about me.
Yeah.
One dead guy for sure, but I don't know about broken hearts.
I mean, look, if it's a dead guy, usually he had it coming.
He did have it coming a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just having that moment of like, oh no, like Kinley is very attractive. Everyone finds Kinley very attractive, except for the creepy eyes. Kinley has their eyes are green with like the square goat pupils.
Oh, that's cool.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, neat.
So outside of that, they're very attractive. And yes, leave trails of broken heart. And then Burton looks funny and knows they look funny.
That's great.
And it's like, doesn't matter.
Whatever. I love oh no, this eldritch terror from beyond time and space is hot.
Yeah. Look, I don't know how far you've gotten into Baldur's Gate 3, but David and I had to shut that down.
I can't get that far into. I'm trying, man. I'm trying so hard. Like I can't get the. I think the barrier to entry for Baldur's Gate is like so high.
You should hop on with. Have you played with friends? Multiplayer.
I have not. It's help.
Easier and it's more fun with friends.
Because I think the thing that draws me to RPGs is the collaborative storytelling sort of aspect of it. And so this is like all the things that feel kind of incidental about D&D without the things that I most enjoy about D&D. If anybody has any recs for how to get into it.
Have you played? If you haven't done this, you should actually run your first character as the Dark Urge.
Okay. Really?
Because then, so that was actually intended for the first way for it to be played. Because so you played a little bit, so you've got like the mind. So
yeah,
in the Dark Urge, it's kind of like having like that warlock patron that's demanding stuff of you. Like there is a voice that starts telling you to do stuff that you can either give into or fight against. Hey, Kato. Yeah, Dirge is definitely the main story.
Okay, that's kind of fun. All right, yeah. Okay,
try and give it a try with other people. Of course, be aware. I hopped into Dark Urge, and the first thing I did was kill a major companion. It was like, oopsie. Like, and I didn't draw. It was like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, this is a funny option. And they're dead.
Oh, that's
okay. I'm going to load and take that option.
I can have fun with that. Okay. I think maybe I'll try that. Cause I think so far Baldur's Gate has been like, well, this is fun, but I'd rather play D&D. I
mean, I would always rather play D&D, but and it's also very fun when David and I play it together, and we play as our D&D characters from the home game. So it's not just us, like it's us like kind of talking our way through the planning, but then also jumping into our characters and talking about, well, this is what I'm going to read this in my voice, and this is the thing that Kinley would do. And then we kind of like, we D&D it a little bit more.
Yeah, like I think playing it maybe virtually with like kind of a party with kind of people that you can enjoy with it. That makes sense. I like that.
And then there becomes the joy of like, well, now I can play this on my own because so and so took that scene, or I wouldn't have made that decision. How does this play out? And then you kind of get to explore the AU versions of.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's fun.
Try it, and it might not work. And if it doesn't work, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Okay, that's fun. I'm reading the comments here. These are very fun.
Unfortunately, I am fueled by spite, so I worry that if I played a Dark Urge run, the Dark Urge would be like, "You should do this." They're like, "You're not the boss of me. Can't tell me what to do."
You would just fully resist. I would have thought the opposite. We've only hung out for like an hour, but I would have been like, David's going full darker.
Look, David was outraged by some of the things that he was not able to resist as a non-dark urge in the game. So
okay.
I'm so being careful to not spoil.
Yeah, it's like, but you're not. Yeah, like, I am ungovernable. Okay.
No. Yeah, you're supposed to be good. Oh, I'm gonna play a teeth-obsessed alchemist rogue that's gonna negotiate to take people's teeth instead of killing them.
So it's like, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
It's like a D&D libertarian.
it's big D&D Brad energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that is that. Yes.
Gotcha.
But we need to tell us more about Mage Hand High Five as we get deep into this interview. Yes, Mr. Ungovernable is named for David. Exactly, Rex.
That's great. Hey, you gotta be ungovernable. That's perfect. Yeah, shoot. Let's talk about it. Our base crew is a group of 4 actors and writers and improvisers, and so that's kind of all of our backgrounds are all kind of in theater and then have transferred since over into RPGs. We do run a mix of long form and short form stuff where right now we're in a long form 5e campaign. Next long form campaign may or may not be in 5e, might be in a different system. But we tend to jump around genres a lot and do a lot of one shots and couple episode shots with indie games and guests and things like that. So if D&D is not your forte, definitely our other stuff might be. Our primary long form campaign right now, as I've referenced a little bit, is called The Badlands, and it is a gritty fantasy western that is very, I would say, very like staunchly kind of anti-capitalist.
We don't know anything about that.
I mean, like, you gotta, right? Like, if capitalism's not the villain, what are we doing?
Every one of our Christmas one-shots, capitalism has been the villain.
Yeah.
Except for the first one where the villain was one of the players, but no one knew.
That's fun. Oh God, I'd be devastated.
It was kind of capitalism because, like, how down on your luck do you got to be to rob a man in fuzzy pajamas?
Yeah, you're pretty damn, I think.
one of the player characters, we worked with them ahead of time. They were trying to steal one of Santa's reindeer.
Oh God, that's great. That's so good. Oh wait, I'm seeing how do you pick which systems to play? We have not had a listener vote on which systems to play just yet. I think a lot of the time the systems that we choose are based on the stories that we want to work with. So it's very if anyone from our crew is listening, they're gonna make fun of me for this. I'm a big Stephen Sondheim fan. And one thing that he was very big on was content dictates form. Mm-hmm. So if we're playing X genre, we're playing this system, right? Mm-hmm. So we did a horror, like a summer camp slasher parody called Terror at Camp Craven that we played on Kids on Bikes because that just made the most sense for the story. So anytime we are looking at a new system, a lot of the time it's like, well, what kind of stories are we looking at? And let's go from there.
Yeah.
And I think for Badlands, like 5e just made the most sense because it had the most just kind of extensive mechanical landscape. And also as our first long form thing, it was like, well, let's bring in the people who already know D&D, and then we'll branch, from there. But yeah, I mean, and I guess story-wise, Badlands follows 3 people that are definitely all kind of running from something, as most Westerns do. Mm-hmm. and they kind of stumble on a secret that is well above all of their pay grades, and get very much caught up in this situation where there is a crusader sort of religious group and a corporate conglomerate that is now kind of after them, and this eldritch god that sort of may or may not live outside the scope of the entire world, that gets very sci-fi, very like spooky in that way, and they kind of get all caught up in this whole thing while they're all in the process of kind of searching for home and family and the people that they care about. I think it's tonally a really, I guess, fun mix of, oh god, this is like a scary kind of brutal cliffhanger, and also like it's very much about home, it's very much about family, it's very much about the communities you build and the people that you find yourself fighting with.
Those are the best horror stories. Like,
yeah,
hands down.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think we joke about being called Mage Hand Mood Whiplash because it's very, our DM is really good, in particular, Casey, about presenting like letting us have this gorgeous, beautiful little role play scene where like the trans changeling character finally shows their real hair for the first time, and we're all braiding their hair and it's all beautiful. And then we do a cut scene and the villain is plotting some new bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it's very much a mood whiplash show, but yeah, and then like I guess also mood wise, I think kind of the inspirations largely are things like Fallout, a little bit of Dark Tower, that kind of energy, like a little spaghetti western here and there.
Yeah. Those mood whiplash are really what make a horror game. Like when we didn't plan it, right? David and I ran Godplane. The first time we ran Godplane, we started. It's a game that's literally set in the nightmare, in the dream of the god. Like it's a literal god's dream, a god's nightmare.
That's rad. Oh, that's cool.
And we do cold opens to kind of get flashes because it's a fairly short campaign, and we were like, we got to get character development, get them through an arc, and get them to a happy conclusion, right? So there's certain So
also,
everyone
we
gets
just
cold
love
open.
cold opens.
We do cold opens and kind of give a flashback into what these characters were before they came into Godplane, which starts.
That's fun.
But after we do a spotlight on each of the characters, then we have them go in pairs or sets of threes and relive other people who have been through this world. And occasionally we pull in known characters. And so we had two of the characters playing as Dritz and one of the companions. And that player loved Dritz. And I didn't actually know this, how much he loved Dritz when we did it. And the next thing I know, he's like explaining to people, no, I was Dritz. And some people are like, that's really cool. And some of them are like, I've never heard of this guy. Who is this guy? And he's like, no, look, I've got fanfic. And they start like, make it canon within this thing. They've got Dritz boy love fanfic on scrolls that they're passing around and reading between the adventures.
God, that's fun.
Yes, horror needs mood whiplash because it enhances the horror and gives much needed stress relief. You can't maintain
you got
at this level too long.
No, you can't stay stressed forever. Our composer was talking about that because I was like, hey, can we do like a creepy thing? This is like a 5-minute scene. And he's like, well, it can't be totally creepy for the whole 5 minutes. Like we gotta lay off.
It's gonna get exhausted. Yeah.
Like just even musically, it's like, oh yeah, you gotta score this in a way that's like you have a limited time before people get used to feeling afraid.
Yeah.
And don't feel that way anymore. But yeah, our GM's really good with that. Oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
Oh, I have more questions because
fire away.
Every so often, I am reminded that this is an interview show and that I should ask that both Kay and I have questions for our guests. We usually get delightfully derailed, as we warned. But
yeah, it's fun.
The question that popped in my head is, as we were talking about over the past few minutes, is so what's like your favorite moment, like non-spoilery, but like your favorite moment or one of your favorite moments that you've had.
Oh man, I feel like I'm trying not to spoil too much, but there have been a couple of really beautiful ones. Okay. I can't talk about this one. This is backlog. Like, we haven't released this one yet.
That's the challenge of podcasts. Yes.
Yeah. There's one. There's one we recorded but haven't released, so I definitely can't talk about that one. Oh gosh, when you're asked a direct question and then you just fully blank.
It's totally fine.
Let me get there.
Totally fine.
I do actually. Yeah, I think. Okay, this is it. There was an episode where we had kind of a break from the horrors of late stage capitalism.
God, I would love that.
It was awesome. We got to hang out. There were free drinks at a bar. We got to just shoot the shit. And the way that Casey, our GM, structured that episode, and actually this is just if people are interested, it's episode 16, and it's called The Tales of Twin River, lovingly named after the Tales of Ba Sing Se from Last Airbender. And it's actually a weirdly good entry episode because it's not super related to the rest of the plot. And the GM structured it as 3 one-on-one mini sessions with each of the players. And each of us had our own little bespoke adventure where our changeling, who had grown up in this gang of urchin children, was caught up in a thieving contest with a group of kids in this city, and is all of a sudden remembering their own life and family. And then my character grew up in a family of healers and then basically married for money to support her family, and is now on her way back to try to find her family, but finally kind of comes to an understanding that she can connect with her family's magic for the first time in this episode, where she meets this old friend of her mom's who's this psychopomp from the other side of the river between life and death. And they have this conversation about why they couldn't help her when she needed them. And it's just this really gorgeous little more quiet scene. And then it ends with this heist where this our rogue is trying to steal the most special rock in the city for his 6-year-old daughter with the post office worker, so
Amazing.
It's just this really fun, each of us got to have these really fun journeys. And I think it was one of those moments where it felt really the GM really knows and loves all of these characters in a really unique way. And it was fun to get to explore those.
I love that. That's one of the things that we do in Godplane is every character gets a dedicated trial that highlights that, and it's so good to just be able to give your players that space and be this is made for you.
Fun. One-on-one stuff's really fun. Do y'all like splitting the party? Because I love splitting the party, but that's just me.
As a GM, I will find a way to break y'all up. I don't care what I got to do. I will put you on an island, and I'll be like, "Ooh, I think something moved right outside your sight line."
I think for me, it depends on the situation, right? I'm because David and I had a very bad game.
Yeah.
Where someone decided to split, where we had just come off, someone missed the last week. This is a problem player to start with.
Okay.
Missed the last week where we'd had a combat. So we were all not fully healed up. And then this guy is well, I'm going in this room. We're checking something, and as we're actively doing this thing, he's well, I'm going in here, I don't need y'all, and he runs off, and we both trigger fights. So we've now got split party in 2 separate fights, both of which were very difficult combats because it was a module too, so it wasn't the GM was super versed in it. We barely survived. One of the an NPC zombie ran off, right, or mummy who had been talking to us runs off, flees from combat. we're all barely alive. And this guy's like, let's go after him. We're going after him. You're all, and got kicked off the show because said some inappropriate things.
Yeah, you can't be saying that stuff.
And he's like, you all are, I'm going to go. And I'm like, looking at him like, my character has 5 hit points. They sit down. We are resting.
Like, we're
and it
done.
was just
yeah.
fury that we weren't like, because he missed the last combat, so he went into this thing fully healed, so he still had half hit points. The rest of us are nearly dead.
Mm-hmm.
So
at some point, read the room.
Yeah,
you gotta read the room. You gotta trust your collaborators. It's got to be like, this is the right moment to do it.
Yeah. Like, there's times when splitting the party is really fun. If we're like about to go face the big bad, maybe don't split the party.
Yeah, but if it's like I think my favorite time to split the party is like a role play heavy episode.
Yeah.
Where it's like, everybody's going to go do their own
Absolutely.
stuff. Like, let's all have a day in the city. We'll come back and tell you what we found. Like, that's fun in real life. Like, I like to do that on vacations.
Exactly.
If I'm on vacation with someone, like, go have a different day and then come back and talk about your day.
Stories. Yeah.
Right.
Go, David.
I've had several instances where in multiple different home games I've run where I've been like, okay, y'all are all headed in different directions. And like, every so often there's a shopping episode, but like there's like a plot thing that I set up where they got to just split up.
Yeah.
And they split up, and then over the course of like the week or the next like 2 weeks, like between session 1 and 2, I'll have individual sessions with people. And they will, and it's like, we'll do one-on-one things. And then we'll get back in. And I'll be like, all right, so all of you did things. None of you know what you did, but now you are back together.
Oh,
and then I just turn off my microphone and sit back. And even with a thing that Kay and I are working on right now, one of our players wasn't feeling well, and it was positioned in such a way where we could like do things asymmetrically, and I threw a couple different things together. And so I'm talking to the player that had to set out, but now it has introduced this mystery because this player knows some of the NPCs in a way that the other players don't.
Yeah.
And so now there's this like big question mark to like the different relationships, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Fun. That's great. It's fun. Yeah, but you do have to read the room a little bit. Also,
absolutely.
My boy is starting to cry.
Oh,
boy. My cat is you all might hear some cat sounds.
We will not be sad. Yeah, Candace, those eyeballs. Huh, Candace? No, and that's so one of the things that I'm rushing this along because we are nearing the end and we did start late, so I'm hoping you'll be able to hang out just a little bit longer so we can get
absolutely.
But I did want to make sure we talked about one of the things you wanted to cover was like building characters as an extension of world building, which is a very big thing for me. I love integrating my character into the world and incorporating lore and but as a GM, this is a thing I have long wanted to do and I haven't done it yet. Yes, we are very used to the cats around here. I'm surprised Gilmore has not made an appearance. One of the things as a GM I intend to do, and I know which game I want to do it for, but one of the things that I've decided I want to do as a GM is give every player has 3 truths, or every character has 3 truths, 3 things that they know about the world to be true. But I tell the player one of those things is not true.
Oh,
one of those things that your
fun.
character knows as truth is not factually accurate about the world.
So it's like a truth that character accepts as true, but that is not. Do you tell them which one it is?
Nope.
That's fun.
Because that then introduces the question of like it's, for me, this is kind of like how, because I was raised religious and I had to fall out of religion. And it was this whole like relearning of the worldview and like things that I knew to be truth weren't true.
Yeah.
And we all have that to some extent, whether it be like, well, everyone, I'm Southern, so all those Northerners are just like rude and they don't know, there's all sorts of little things that we
Yankees.
know. Yeah.
Filthy Yankees.
You're terrible.
So it gives the player that sense of uncertainty that we feel in the real world, right? And that thing, it's not necessarily like, actually, Hitler was the good guy. Like, it's not going to be anything
No.
like that, right? But it's going to be like, actually, maybe this god that you worship isn't universally liked or accepted. Maybe it's just a little fringe thing from your corner of the world.
Yeah, like those challenges. I think my character in Badlands, Salome, right now is encountering a lot of that as someone who's like from out in the sticks, lived in the city with a lot of money, and is now like back home, is very invested in like the class warfare of it all, and I think has become very anti everyone from the city in a really blind, in a really like obscured way, where I don't think she can see the good in any of these people, even though it might be there. And I think it'll be a minute before she can. Like, it's fun. I don't know. It's fun to play characters with a spot that they're not aware of.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to fold in the sort of cultural adjustments you have to make that a lot of people have to have as part of their growth journey. Like, and I think everybody I know who is accepting of the right things, who are on the right side of history, has a moment where there's this culture shock, and they're like, wait a second. And being able to simulate that in a TTRPG and explore that. And then also exploring both like the birth and the combating of prejudice. Both like in you and then like in the society that you face is also a really great thing to explore. And like the two truths and a lie thing is a really good way to do that, because it's like, no, that those people are green. Like, do you not get that they're green? And that's a problem. And it's like, well, we're going to unpack that.
That's really fun. I like that device a lot. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's definitely one to write down and use later. That's cool.
If anyone uses it, let me know how it goes, because again, I have done like I used to run a whole lot of one shots and was having trouble getting people, not everyone was ready to row the boat the same direction. I'm like, it's a one shot. We need you to be rowing the same direction because we got 3 hours to tell the story, and that's
it. A lot of time.
And I like had this brilliant moment of like, I'm like, okay, you're all going to start at this bar, at this tavern, and your character is there for a reason. Whatever that reason is up to you, but your character's there for a reason. And I'm like, great, this is awesome. And the adventure's going to start here. And then one character's like, well, my character is a secret agent and they're waiting here for their handler, so they don't want to go on this adventure until their handler shows up. And I'm like, cool.
It's a one shot though. Like, we gotta go. We gotta, the boat's leaving.
Here's the thing. You can either say your handler showed up and you gave her a look and went, or you can just sit the adventure out. I don't have time to do your whole backstory.
Yeah, like you have to, at a certain point, you do have to actually play the game.
Right.
Yeah.
Get the corpse support. Yep. Yeah,
Rex was on last week and told us about the way he addresses that.
Oh.
Yeah. Corpses go in a catapult. And they
that's fun.
And it's perfect for Westerns because guy comes crashing in through the front window of the bar and is either dying or dead, and that gets the plot going.
And then boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
But one of the other things I do to try to make sure that I have lots of room, like David, I am known for writing extensive character backstories. And I send them to my GMs, not expecting them to read it. I always have a TLDR, like the main important points, but like writing a character backstory is how I get to know the character. How do they think? How do they feel? Like I need that for me. I'm a writer. I'm an English major. That's how I get to know the character. Because not all my characters have playlists. Playlists are a great way to get to know my character. Some of them are just like, we're not going to have a playlist. Like Roxy still doesn't have one. But I always, we're not going to talk about it, David.
That's what I typed in.
We're not going to talk about it, David. But one of the things that I make sure to do is, whenever possible, I will get all of the lore from the GM. Like I have annoyed so many GMs of like, okay, so what's the creation mission for that? Okay, so so how does this? Okay, so you told me I'm playing a character with this military background. I'm totally down for it. How long does that take? What was that? How did that like?
What was that training like?
I
what
need
is
to
the
know,
structure?
right? I want
yes.
this, right? And most GMs are actually really happy to give that, but some GMs are like, "Can you just hand wave?" I'm like,
yeah.
But I always try. So there are a lot of advice for if you were like me and you have to write an extensive backstory, which is like, and a great piece of it is only write what your character knows. Right. So yes, they came in and they killed my whole family. What you didn't know is your uncle paid them. You know, you leave that hole open for the GM to do the thing.
Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot is like, if you're going to establish a backstory, like you have to leave stuff for the GM to do. Like you can't have the whole thing completely fleshed out because then all of a sudden, like, what are we doing here? Then go write a book. Like, that's great. Write a book.
And the other thing that I tend to do is I leave big holes in my character backstory that I'm like, so with Roxy, Roxy is a paladin of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. I, the player, don't know if the Flying Spaghetti Monster is real. If she's worshiping a god with just the wrong name. Like, I don't know. I'm like, David, you don't tell me. Like, straight up, don't tell me. I will find this out in game. With Brandon finds an egg. And I don't know why or how he has the egg. I know it's going to hatch to be he's a Drake Warden Ranger, so it's going to hatch to be a dragon. Dragons aren't in this world, right? I don't know what or how, but like the GM is like, do you have strong opinion? I'm like, literally, because we're starting at level 1. So normally, you know, you start when you've already got your companion or whatever, because you start at level 3 or higher generally. And I was like, look, normally what would happen is Brandon has this dragon. He hasn't been home since he found the dragon, since he got the egg and it hatched and has the dragon. And he doesn't know why he hasn't been home.
Okay.
Like, I love leaving those big holes where I'm like, you tell me what's here. Like, because that's going to excite me as I figure out what I don't know about my character.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's the way to go. Like, that's certainly what I did with Salome, with our GM. I was like, okay, you know, this is her story. Like, you know, she has married into money. She's like living in this place unhappily, and her aunts who raised her have gone missing, and she doesn't know where they are. And now she has to go out and find them, and has to get out however she can. And so then it's like, okay, but where are they? And like, that's, you know, now that's a whole arc, but it is, leaving the holes is good. I love asking the extensive, I'm very guilty of asking the extensive lore questions. Of just like, okay, wait, no, but tell me, my group makes fun of me a lot for being the bureaucrat a little bit, of being like, okay, well, no, but if we're gonna have like, you know, if we're going to make this a revolution, well, we have to have demands, and it has to be about equal representation in the Senate, and it has to be about, like, what are the politics of this? And I get a little too real world about it, but, yeah, I don't know. I like knowing the detail. I like knowing the lore.
I like being grounded in the world, and I like, there is a joy. Especially because, again, I play a lot of charismatic characters. I end up in leadership roles a lot, which my characters should never be in leadership roles, but that's where I just accidentally end up.
Sure.
And, like, knowing enough about the world. Oh, dear, David.
I'm sorry. It's just, Kay always ends up as team dad because there will be one brain cell and Kay will have it. And I'm glad there's at least one game, like the Roxy game, where Kay doesn't have to have the brain cell.
That hurts. It hurts to not have the brain cell. It hurts to be like, my character would not have figured this out. How can I trick someone else into figuring it out?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know, though. I do a lot of that, like, lore theorizing, where I'll be sitting there with my little paper and be like, oh, that came up 10 episodes ago. But I think it's kind of fun to not have the brain cell, honestly. I love that. Look at this.
This is my home game.
Look at that. Is that the one that you're running or the one that you're playing in?
No, that's me as a player.
That's so good. I just have like 5 notebooks that are all disorganized.
I mean, I also have the notebooks, but then I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere with these notebooks. We gotta conspiracy board it. I showed that to my GM and he's like, wow. Like,
Wow.
I don't quite know what to do with this.
I don't even have that. That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing like, especially if you're in like the leadership role, right? You are the character who knows it, to be able to just drop the GM's lore correctly and then be like, GM, correct me if I say anything wrong. Drop a bunch of history or drop the way the world is, or be like, this is why, this is what, and the GM be like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think the way I find myself doing that, because in character, I think the character that I play is much less self-assured and much less aware that she's got any kind of wisdom. So I think it ends up being like, well, this might be kind of a bad idea, but like this might be kind of silly, but like I don't know what y'all think about this. I don't like playing the leadership character always, so I think it's nice to be able to like holler some lore from the background.
Yep. Hey, Mintalavia. Yeah, David knows too. I have strong opinions on intelligence versus wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And characters with wisdom can come to the same conclusions just as well as characters with intelligence. They just have to go about it in a weird, loopy way that usually takes longer. So if I'm like, especially when I play my low int high whiz characters, I'm like, okay, Kay the player has an idea. I don't think my character will have gotten here yet. So we'll get to the long rest and I will just roll a wisdom check. And if it's high enough, I'll be like, okay, now I'm going to throw out this idea. And if it's a low wisdom check, then no, I'm not going to throw out the idea. I'm going to sit on it a little bit longer and see if I can trick someone else into figuring it out.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, man.
And if you're playing a high int, low wisdom character, and you don't have, and you don't come into at least one ridiculous conspiracy theory, I need you to go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and reevaluate it, because you gotta turn that wisdom all the way down and the int all the way up, and it's like these pieces fit.
It all makes sense. Yeah.
The chemtrails, the airplanes have chemtrails, and you're just yeah.
You're so, like, again, I did my own research.
The icebreaker for Burton, when they met the guy who's covered in rocks and vines, and he steps out into the sun, and the vines start sprouting purple poppies, and like we're just looking because we've never seen anything like this, and I broke the entire table. No one was prepared. I just look at him like, was your mama a flower?
Yeah.
Fair. It's a fair question.
She might have been.
That 1 + 1 equals flower.
Yeah, none of this makes any sense. So mama is a flower makes as much sense as anything else I'm seeing here.
Yeah, fair enough.
And it's great tension breakers because, everyone's like all tense. It was this tough encounter of, is this guy going to fight us? Are we going to work together? How are we going to edit it up? And then it's like, okay, yeah, I can hang out with this person.
Yeah, here we are. That's good. I mean, you got to have I love those little moments where you're not sure who you can trust. And then someone's got to take one for the team and break that tension. It's nice.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to.
Was this the Featherfall, the black
hole?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, Lurking Rider said a portable hole is black hole with a featherfall cast on it.
Yeah. You're not wrong. That's kind of fun. I like that.
I am a high int, low wisdom character, IRL, says Nicole, and can confirm you'll construct absolute batshit stuff that only makes sense in your head. Yes.
I think I might be the opposite. And like, what do y'all think your stat balance is? Because I tend to be told like wisdom's at the top and then the rest kind of falls out from there. So I will try to like insight my way into situations, but not always figure them out.
So in my head, I am a rogue bard multiclass.
Okay.
I have been told without a doubt in reality, I am a cleric bard multiclass. Fair. Or maybe paladin bard.
Okay.
Maybe paladin.
Yeah.
Strength at the top.
Yeah.
Constitution's a little wonky because some things yes, some things no.
Yeah.
And I know that in my DNA, I am a barbarian, but deep down, I want to be either a cleric or a paladin because there is something in my personality that's always drawn to zealotry. Like I want to be the religious fanatic. I want to be the guy on the corner screaming that the end of the world is coming.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the person that like convinces people to follow me into the most asinine things. It's like, listen, if you don't paint half of your face purple and the other half of your face green, God will punish you forever. Like
that's good.
Like
and sometimes you got to be the zealot.
Like we've mentioned on the show Warhammer before, and I've played a couple of video games, so I've heard some of like the one-liners, and it's like super dark, like grim dark is a thing. And I had a point where I was like, wait a second, are these people serious? Because it's fun to role play this. If they're serious, this is a problem.
Like this, it could be fun, but maybe it's not fun.
Yeah.
And someone in chat is like, no, like they're totally and they're like, go look on the website. Like the people who made it are like, no, this is a dystopia. This is the extrapolation of the worst things that can happen. And I go on the website and they're like, listen, we support, everything. And if you think this is cool, earnestly, like unironically, this isn't for you.
You don't watch it. Yeah.
But it does speak to you. I have dark quotes that I just is so good.
It's fun. And I think that's the thing about clerics and paladins, right? Is that it is in a lot of ways a choice thing. So if there's a part of you that wants to choose to be a cleric or a paladin, like you got that in you. You just got to get there.
No, I don't. I am team dad. I am the person. So I want to be the sneaky rogue who like shows up and charms and then like vanishes. But no, I am very clearly a charisma class. It is what has gotten me through everything. And I'm also the person who's like, okay, we're at the convention. I have drink covers. I have Band-Aids. I have throat lozenges. I have like.
You prepared. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a cleric, paladin, something in there.
That's fair. That is very fair.
I am definitely team healer. I'm off, like, it's very rare that I play a character that doesn't have some form of healing.
You gotta, right? Like I definitely tend to go support builds just generally.
I am
and it's
support or rogue.
Yeah, like it's which rogue is like very utility, it's you gotta have like some kind of heal. I feel anxious if I don't have a way to give someone hit points. I'm like, I'm gonna be powerless if I can't help you, and I don't like that feeling.
Was it Logomancy? Someone I was complaining about Starfinder, because in Starfinder, I play a Solarian, which is basically like a space paladin.
Mm-hmm.
They go bonk very, very effectively.
Mm-hmm.
They also can go supernova and can do 96 of damage.
Great.
As a melee class of fire damage. Just
wild.
Boom in an area. But they're just primarily run up and bonk. That's what they do. They stab things. And I was like, it frustrates me because to get a healing potion out in Starfinder is your entire action.
The whole thing.
Entire action. And I was like, this makes me so angry because I want to have, and then I think it was Logomancy who was like, there's a gear clamp. And it's like a 25 credit thing that attaches to your armor, and then you can insert a Healy pot into it, and you can draw it as a swift action.
There you go. That's great.
And I'm like, now I have it, and I'm so happy. I'm like, GM, we need to go to a place where I can buy this right now. I need it.
You gotta get your gear. Yeah, no, I do love playing a healer as well. I think I might be somewhere between cleric and paladin as well. Not sure which, but definitely in the lawful good side of things.
I'm definitely the chaotic good.
Yeah. Lawful, I will say like that. I think lawful, like not according to like the laws of the place you live in, but lawful in terms of like structured.
God, yeah.
Yeah, right. I think
Or
that's
rather,
a big
the laws of your
distinction.
ideology, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was like, no, I'm not chaotic, right? I am neutral, but I'm not chaotic. Like, I use the box to break itself. And everyone was like, that statement is chaos. That is a chaotic statement. And I'm like, okay.
Well, hey, sometimes you gotta accept it.
Right. I was informed, so I will take it.
Also, Kay is a rogue. Like, look, I have observed. I've been quiet, and I have observed. For various reasons related to both like environmental and personal trauma, I track people in crowds. People think that I'm like agoraphobic. I'm not agoraphobic. It's too many people to keep track of. My brain.
Right there with you. Right there with you.
Because
It's
like
a
I need
lot.
to know what you're carrying. I need to know what you have in your pockets. I need to know what I can like Sherlock Holmes about you just by looking at you. And doing that to 200 people at the same time hurts your brain.
Very much so.
And I've had people like shocked that over like a big like fairground or over a mall or whatever, like they didn't see me, and then I arrived in a place and they're like, how did you know I was here? I was like, well, I tracked you. And they're like, excuse me, are you going to kill me? And I'm like, no, we're friends. I just keep track of you because I care about you. And that guy has a knife. And it's like,
Yeah.
but how do you know he has a... Don't be asking questions. One of the few people that consistently and unintentionally shakes me on a regular basis is Kay. Kay has smoke bombs. I will be like at a fairly large bar or like the thing, and I'll be like, all right, Kay's here. That person just walked in. Where did Kay go? And then I'll look around and be like, no, really, where did Kay go? And Kay also fast. And so I'll be like, okay,
Small but fast.
I have to extrapolate how far Kay could have gotten and then double their movement speed.
Great.
And then that's
okay.
the actual frame of that I have to search. But yeah,
So they've got the bonus action dash, is what
Right.
I'm
Well,
saying.
and that's the thing too, is I've been to so many conventions that I can weave through a crowd like no one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just
so if I ever
might
need
be
somebody
Batman.
assassinated in a crowd, I'm like, hey, here, take this syringe.
Okay. Gonna be your
Go
next
get
Sarah
it.
from.
Right.
But-
What is it? Sarah Moore.
We are nearing the end of our time here. So Rowan, we want to make sure we take some time to like tell us one more time. Like, tell us about Mage Hand High Five, tell us where to find you, tell us all the good stuff about
Yeah.
you and your awesome self.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all for having me on today. It's been really fun talking with you. You can find Mage Hand High Five at the easiest place is magehandhighfive.com. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the other places as well. Should all be pretty easy to find. We're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on all that noise. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting a little bit of a wall.
That's totally fine.
Yeah, so you can find us all at those places. And also, we will say if you're not looking for a lot of backlog and catching up on a lot of backlog, we're only like 20 something episodes in, and the episodes are all under 90 minutes, so it's pretty low key. But if you're not interested in backlog and you want to jump in a little bit farther ahead, we do newsreel style recaps from the villain's perspective. So if you would like to get a very biased look at what has happened thus far and jump in a little bit later in the game, the 3 Daily Herald is what you're looking for. We've got some newsreels that'll kind of explain the campaign up to where we're at. We would love to see you there for a little yeehaw, a little howdy, a little tip of the cowboy hat. And yeah, that's Mage Hand High Five.
I packed my cowboy hat already. I'm moving soonish, so things are going into boxes. So yes, thank you so much. This has been a delightful conversation. It is always fun. It is rare and very fun to talk about ace things because, hey, Stellar Encore, how you doing, Pan? You were here just as we are wrapping up. Pan plays the wonderful shape-shifting alien that my non-ace character got to romance up for a hot second.
That's great.
But yeah, it's always a delight. And yes, there are I'm going to circle us back around to the beginning because again, it's a thing that I'm passionate about, obviously,
Yeah.
because I have lived it. But like, there's all sorts of flavors of ace, and some ace people don't get down, and some ace people get down with the right person, and some people will get down so they can have naked cuddles after. And all of those
Is that even a fair trade? I am not the one to answer that question.
Thank you for the follow, Baron Medusa.
That's our GM.
Oh, thank you for coming by. So I have been Kay. I am one of the co-hosts here. You can find David and I playing Baldur's Gate 3 Thursday and Friday. We are deep into we are deep into the third act, so if you're avoiding spoilers, avoid that stream. We'll be back here next Tuesday for another episode of the Table Talk Show. There's other stuff coming. I just can't talk about it yet. David, who the heck is you, and what the heck has we been doing here?
I blame every technical problem that I've encountered today on the fact that there's sunlight beaming down on me. And I'm sure that's not but that's what But no, hi, I'm David. This is the Chaotic Wholesome Table Talk Show, where we talk about TTRPG stuff, how to be a better player, how to be a better GM, how to be a better person, all with a focus on intersectionality and inclusivity, so that every flavor of Ace can have a good time.
And thank you all, chat, for being wonderful as you always are. You have kept us very entertained. We are going to head over to see Xanderific, who is playing The Legend of Zelda. And actually, before we do that, I am going to, so that you all can see this on the way out, going to open this link and go check out Link if he had a Southern accent, because this is currently my favorite thing on the internet. So as we raid over to see Xander and Link, check that out. Be kind to yourself, y'all. Be excellent to others. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We will see you next time. Please go check out Mage Hand High Five, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.